That brings us to Trump's choice for Attorney General. That's Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions. He was an early supporter of Donald Trump in the presidential campaign. Sessions is generally well-liked by his Senate colleagues. Senate, of course, must confirm him for this position. But Sessions did run into trouble 30 years ago, back in 1986, when he was a United States attorney and he was nominated by Ronald Reagan for a federal judgeship. Sessions then was accused of making racially insensitive comments. His former assistant U.S. attorney telling the committee that Sessions had called him boy and had warned him, quote, to be careful what you say to white folks. What we're about to show you now is an NBC News report from that time, from the controversial Sessions nomination battle back in 1986. This is reporter Ken Bodie. The date, March 17th, 1986.
Mr. Sessions is a throwback to a shameful era, which I know both black and white Americans thought was in our past. It's inconceivable to me that a person of this attitude is qualified to be a U.S. attorney, let alone a United States federal judge.
Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III. He was brought face to face with things he personally had said. For example, that the NAACP and the Civil Liberties Union are un-American organizations.
These comments that you could say about county organizations or something, I may have said something like that in a general way that probably was wrong.
Also brought face to face with a Justice Department civil rights attorney who knows him well and who was asked, is Sessions a racist?
I don't really know whether he is or he isn't. I probably ought to know, but I don't. I really can't say.
But the would-be judge's biggest problem came in a case he prosecuted and lost. A vote fraud case involving black civil rights leaders in Perry County, Alabama. Defendants in the Perry County case were Albert and Evelyn Turner, political and civil rights leaders for more than 20 years. Albert was an aide to Martin Luther King. Their scrapbook has all the marches.
This is Bloody Sunday. Albert can see that's him right here.
Albert Turner guided the mules at Dr. King's funeral. The federal government charged the Turners with doctoring absentee ballots, vote fraud, and mail fraud.
My own opinion is that the case was political. I actually don't think Jeff Sessions came in with an ounce of evidence.
Blacks charge harassment by U.S. Attorney Jeff Sessions, noting there was no investigation of white vote fraud. The Justice Department says it had no complaints about white vote fraud. Jack Drake, a Tuscaloosa civil rights attorney, says the feds might have found plenty of white vote fraud had they looked for it.
I've seen letters written by the concerned citizens of Sumter County, for example, saying, we know you don't live here anymore, but we want you to vote here.
Drake says race is the only issue in black belt elections, that the federal government got involved in a local struggle over the courthouse.
I think the motivation came from the whites who live there, who are really desperate when they start to think about losing control of the county courthouse.
The original complaint came 2 years earlier from the local district attorney.
I gave them my preliminary investigative report and advised them of the situation here and asked for their assistance.
Roy Johnson showed us the original impounded ballots. He said the Turners illegally changed some of the absentee ballots they had collected.
Ballots are being changed from the way the voters had cast them.
Johnson turned his evidence over to Jeff Sessions and asked the U.S. Attorney to monitor the 1984 primary election.
I told him basically what I've just outlined, that we had, in essence, sheer unadulterated fraud in the absentee balloting process here in Perry County.
Some blacks whose absentee ballots had been changed were bused to Mobile to testify. Law enforcement authorities say everything went smoothly. Others say they were terrified.
I don't believe those people who were carried to Mobile in that bus will ever vote again.
The case was tried last summer. Albert and Evelyn Turner were found not guilty. Jeff Sessions declined to talk to NBC News, but his friends and supporters told us he is not a racist, and the Justice Department says Sessions had a good case. Jack Drake disagrees.
I didn't think the government had a case. The impetus of it, I think, was to keep blacks from voting and to intimidate people, and they went right after the leadership that they want to defeat.
Albert Turner does not want Jeff Sessions on the federal bench.
A man like Jeff Sessions will be there for such a long period of time, and I honestly think that he will be in the way of progress in this area for quite a while.
He is, I believe, a disgrace to the Justice Department, and he should withdraw his nomination and resign his position.
Again, that's an NBC News piece from March 17, 1986. Ken Bodie reporting there. Now, Jeff Sessions was ultimately rejected in that battle for the federal judgeship by the Senate Judiciary Committee. At the time, that committee was controlled by Republicans. And the question now, 30 years later, is will he face similar opposition as he tries to become the Attorney General of the United States? Joining me now.